What is up, everybody? Eric here, Traveling Trading. Making this quick video for you guys just to kind of recap the week and where we're at, and just to really give you some good focus here. So, this video, the one I made today, a lot of you guys were asking. I'm gonna pretty much talk about one of the main questions that I get a lot of times from traders too, which is letting your winners win. So, we're gonna address that here in a second, and kind of call it a weekend, okay? Recap the trade that I took here, and then we're going to talk about that, and that's pretty much it, okay? Before we kind of get everything started, you guys, you're logged into, the alerts. Just go ahead and sign up for it, all that good stuff right there at the website, travelingtrading.com. Wanted to kind of make this disclosure for you guys too, because I will be closing this down pretty soon for a few different reasons. One, we are in that change in the market cycle, okay? It was fun having you guys all in there that are in there. Um, you know, for those of you that are still in the group, appreciate you guys sticking around. Shows that you really actually do want to be trading. And for those of you not who have gotten back in, completely understand I was the same way. I stopped trading for a while and got in at some point way back in my earlier career. But just wanted to let you guys know that I will be closing down the groups and alerts, things like that. So those of you who are in there, you're sticking in there, you're rocking with me. We're gonna keep things rolling. Those of you that aren't, when it closes down, I'm sorry, there's nothing I can do until they decide to open it back up, okay? Um, I might go ahead and do a Discord because I know a lot of people were asking for that, but we'll see how that plays out. First and foremost, I want to just make sure that everyone that's already in the groups and in the alerts and subscribed and everything like that is getting my full attention as much as possible and getting the most that they can out of the alerts. That's my first and foremost focus. Everything else will be afterwards, okay? So hopefully you guys are still profitable and profiting on with everything. Um, if you're having issues with signing up and everything like that, feel free guys to reach out to me. If you're not in the Facebook group, that's completely free. Message me directly. You can shoot me an email. Um, Plenty of ways to get a hold of me. Okay. If I'm not responding, maybe your stuff might have went to spam. Tag me in it. Doesn't matter. Comment on a YouTube video or something like that. I'll see it eventually. Okay, and we can connect. But anyways, just wanted to give you guys a kind of a heads up with that. So those of you that are in, stay in, locked in. Market cycle is going to change. We're going to be focusing a lot more on learning because this is going to be a new cycle because it's not going to be like it was the last, 4 or 5 years. We can just throw money at any stock and make money. Now is going to be the time where you're going to be learning how to really, really trade and get into the nitty gritty of it. Okay. So that's that little disclaimer there. Again, this is all for educational and entertainment purposes only. This is not financial advice. Take it with a grain of salt. And let's go ahead and get into it. So, full topic at hand here, guys, again, is letting your winners win. How to do that, okay? Um, First and foremost, let's recap the biggest thing today here was the AGMH trade, okay? You guys know me. I don't really like to trade on Fridays. However, today was an exception. This week was really light, probably because of the Fed chair changing the interest rates and things like that. The market was frozen on Wednesday. It was nothing for me to really trade. Thursday was the same way. Monday and Tuesday, I think, or was it Wednesday or Monday? One of those days. Anyways, 3 trades this week only I took. All green. They were good to go, pretty solid, but it was still a pretty slow week. Okay, um, not too bad though. I'll take green over red any day. So. With AGMH, probably one of the better trades, again, even for a Friday, which I usually don't do, but you guys kind of had this in your back pocket. This was really a give me trade here. So um, let's just kind of glance over it, right? So we originally got this alert not Friday, but Thursday evening after hours. Let me actually pull it up here. We got alerted at like $3.69. Yeah, right there. So if you're subscribed to the alerts, you got that bad boy. You got notified of it, which was like what $3.60 was like right around this area here. And this is after hours yesterday. So you knew to kind of look at it. You got the news about it, why it popped and then stayed strong after hours more, came with a good level of support. Pre-market came, did what I told you guys to do. Sometimes it spikes up and then comes back down and drops and levels out pre-market. Then towards the opening bell, starts to gain life because new exchanges are opening up. I'm not going to get into this too detailed for you guys because again, I teach you all this in the course. You should know all this stuff already, so we're not going to get into that much detail. We're just going to recap the trade. I'm going to talk about the topic at hand. But anyways, came opening bell, did his little dip, spiked up, went all the way up to freaking almost $18 or so, right? Crazy. And then it started to fade off into the hours. Okay. and pretty much it's probably going to drop back down from there. So again, guys, these are low float, high momentum, high volatile stocks. So you should know this movement by now. If you're not, this is where your screen time is going to come into play. Okay. Now let's talk about the topic at hand, and I'll add in recapping my trade in with it too, because I only had like a 43% gain on it. It was only like 2 grand. You guys know I only trade with 500 shares, blah, 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 all that good stuff, right? So not going to get into that. But mainly, again, what we want to discuss is letting your winners win and how do you do that? That's one of the biggest questions I get from traders all the time. And it's going to be a little bit more details to this, but I'm going to just kind of hone in on 2 points, mainly one, but I'm going to hone in on 2 points on how to do that and how that actually works, okay? Because a lot of traders get misconceptions and things like that. So I'm going to break this down for you as clearly as possible. But when it comes to letting your winners win, it's really two things you kind of need. One is good psychology and emotional control. Okay, that's one, and that's like the minuscule part of it. The main thing you really need to have is your strategy and knowing your strategy. What I mean by that is that you got to know your trading strategy, the ins and outs, the good and the bad and the ugly of it, okay? Knowing when your trade is going well and knowing when your trade is going right. The reason why I say that because it is a blanket statement. Remember, every trader is different. Every trading strategy isn't for everyone, and every trading strategy isn't going to work in a market, but every trading strategy does work in a market. What I mean by that is that there's a time and place for every type of trading strategy that you use. Okay, um, the same way you trade might be different. The same way another trader works. Both of your trades could work out the same way, and they could both be completely opposite things. And this is why even in the course, right? I'm not teaching you guys any particular trading strategy. I'm teaching you how to develop your own trading strategy because you need to learn how to do that on your own. Okay, you don't need to be following any other traders. What works for you won't work for someone else, and what works for someone else won't work for you. So the point I'm trying to make here is that in order to let your winners win, you got to be able to know your trading strategy, how it looks and how it works out when it's going great, to have it potentially run more and you're playing with house's money. And you also got to know when, hey, it's not working here at this point in this moment in time based on this pattern. I need to get out of it, you know? And if you don't know that, if you haven't, I wouldn't say back test enough, if you haven't just even practiced enough with your trading strategy, then you don't need to be doing that. Okay, you won't have your winners win because in order for your winners to keep winning, you have to be playing with house's money. And for you to play with house's money, you got to know like where my profit is to take. Okay, so again, part of your strategy is not only knowing your setup and what you're looking for, but also knowing when to take your profits or cut your losses. Knowing, hey, am I aiming for with this trading strategy I'm doing, am I aiming for a 5% profit, 10% profit, 20%, 30, 40? Am I doing a 2-to-1 risk to reward ratio, 3-to-1, 4-to-1, et cetera, et cetera? So that is the main thing you got to know is your strategy in and out. There's no wrong one, there's no right one. It's whatever one works for you. Now, addition to that, when you're needing to let a winner win, it's got to be under the condition that you know that even if the trade goes wrong, sorry, that's somebody with their Lambo out there. um, when the trade is not going right, you got to know when to be able to accept that. Hey, I had a profit, but also too, it came back down to my original target. Because a lot of times traders will think that, oh, I was in this stock at $3. It ran all the way up to $12. Well, the fact that it ran all the way to $12 probably isn't even part of your trading strategy in the first place. So you're kind of getting that misconception thinking like, oh man, I missed out on all this profit. No, you didn't, because that wasn't part of your trading strategy. It just so happened to be that the stock ran that much or dropped that much, and that's just random reinforcement. Okay. It has nothing to do with your trading strategy. Doesn't mean your trading strategy is bad. That is not the case. It's just that the stocks move that way because of one reason or another, but also that reason that it ran isn't even part of your strategy. Okay. So I'll try to give you guys some examples of that so you can kind of understand it a little bit more. I'll utilize mine as well too. I won't go into detail with my trading strategy because you guys, I mean, you know it. We'd be here all day going through that and why things are the way that I trade and the way I trade. That's all in the course for you, so we don't have time for that. But let's just kind of go off of that example as much as we can without getting into too much detail of kind of how I do it, because I know you guys would have a million questions. But again, those of you who know and have been learning the course and know how I trade, you should be able to kind of get this concept. So again, I entered this trade here at what, just under $12, right? Like right around $11.88. My results are in the Facebook group, guys. Whatever I posted in there and the snapshots I put in there, those are my trades and me exiting the trades and just a snapshot of the stock, okay? So you can look at that and do it. I'm sorry, I'm not the tech savvy computer person that you want me to be. I'm not a YouTuber. I'm just trying to show you this as much as I can to the best of my ability. I'm not going to learn how to do, you know, tech stuff, okay? I don't have time for that. But I got in around $11 and I think 80 something cents. So just beneath here, let me just draw it out for you here real quick. Bam, bam, bam. Let's just say I got in right there. That's pretty much 1187. I'm not going to make this a perfect line because we got to fly through this. It's the weekend. You guys need to be enjoying your weekend. Now, again, we got alerted to this yesterday, way back here, right? So you guys who know me and my trading strategy, let's just say, for example, I'm going to trade some type of bullish strategy, which I typically do because I'm a bullish trader, right? So you got alerts here. Boom, boom, boom. Pulls back, pops up, breaks another high. New lows, a higher low is established, then boom, breaks another high, boom, another high, another low is established. Gets a little bit of a break right here where it tries to pull back, but it doesn't. And that really just kind of springs into action with all these buyers coming here, probably because people were waiting. And look at the time frame of this. This is very important. This is opening bell area right here, guys. This is still early morning. You're not past opening bell until at least an hour or two into the opening, okay? Which 6:30 my time, 9:30 Eastern, etc. So until it hits like 11 o'clock, things aren't going to really start to die down in the market when it comes to stocks, especially ones that have been on people's radar. We got this alert early again, but obviously we've seen it later on. Other traders are coming in and seeing it too, right? So this should have already been just one of the ones on your watch list there. So obviously, boom, this happens to happen. And you know me, if I'm starting to see, it breaks higher highs, I'm going to enter in on the pullback, right? So the pullback comes, now it's starting to let up. So I'm like, hey, this is an opportunity time for me to get in. The reason why I can let this winner win, because you guys know like what my risk to reward ratio is. Let's just say, for example, I'm risking, a 2-to-1 ratio, right? So risking $100 to get 200 kind of thing. You can do that as much as you want, or however you want to slice the cake, right? Um, Obviously by then, boom, you're in the money. Now, at this point, you have the decision to take profits, right? Or let it ride. Understand, let's say you're going to let it ride, right? You know, as a trader, and what I teach you guys, right? Usually when you're exiting, if you're bullish, you're exiting on this green side when it starts to maybe turn back down, okay? So if I'm a trader and I knew that my risk to reward allowed me to take profits, let's just say even if it's like right here, right? Why would I want to let this continue by time it hits right here? So you would think most traders are like, oh man, if I, got in right here and then I profited on this candle here and then we had some more run up. At this point, you're getting greedy because you were supposed to take profits right here. You can let it ride, but still understand where you're at in the moment of the trade, especially if you're not setting stop losses, hard stop losses like in the system. If you're doing mental ones, you're gonna have to be monitoring it, right? So at this point, you're in the green. This is still, everything here still is bullish in your favor if this is your type of trading strategy. So because you're at the point to where you're profiting, this is where you would want to ideally let it ride, right? And you can kind of, this is when the greed starts to kick in, the emotion starts to kick in, and then when I tell you you need emotional control, because you know you're still running up, but you also know what, that it has to come back down. Now, obviously, if this was your original target, you need to stick to it, right? But also, when you're setting your target, understand that it could be a possibility that your target could get broken through. Okay, and are you willing to accept that? That's the question, right? That's a lot of the hard part that many traders have a problem with doing, because by then you're going to be thinking to yourself psychologically like, oh, I should have just took my profits originally when it was up here, you know, and that of course is going to lead into you having that negative thinking and not really sticking to your plan. So this is why sticking to your plan is more important than anything, and be willing to take your profits, because not all the time will you have the ability to just let it ride. Now let's say if I was doing that same trading strategy in this section it would be the same case, guys, right? It pops up, floats back. Let's say I get into it, it starts to turn up, boom, same exact thing. You can you can literally take this part here of what happened in this trade, and let's say use the same trading strategy in this segment here in pre-market, and still get the same outcome and results. So it's not that, oh, I should have let it ride. It's just that the trading strategy that you're using calls for it to happen right there at that point. So you're not missing out on anything, right? Now it's just happened to happen again at this point on a different level with different traders. So letting a winner win only applies when you're going to be staying in the green. And you know, based on your trading strategy, like if the stock, let's say this is my trading strategy, right? So I know if the movement of the stock was to continuously go like this, I'll just draw another trend line. So let's pretend none of this is happening. Let's say now at this point, the candles and the stock just kept going up at this point. Obviously, this was my profit taking moment, right? So here at this point, let's say this begins to turn, more momentum comes in. The isolators are showing me like, hey, it starts to diverge. Vortex indicators let me know that more momentum is coming in. At that point, you're letting it ride because you have nothing to lose. You're already way past your profit target margin, right? Your risk to reward major is already there. You already now at this point you're playing with house's money basically. There's no way to determine that beforehand until it actually happens, right? But here's the problem that you face is that it wasn't supposed to happen that way because of the fact that, the way it actually played out was totally different. So let's say you took this same whole section and you moved it back again to, like I was saying earlier, in pre-market, wouldn't applied. So this is why I said you got to know your strategy ins and outs and your risk to reward. So I know, like, hey, next time my strategy comes into play and it happens, this same type of stock movement happens and it doesn't break my profit margin or my profit take area, and it still stays bullish, I can just sit there and let the stock continuously go up, and then maybe might want to take some profits at the next level or the next level, whatever you choose. Okay. Let me close this door real quick, guys. But I hope that helps out because that's what it means to have letting your winners win. You guys seen this happen a couple of times on some of my trades, but that's because I know, like, hey, in my trade, I'm setting the target for this and a target for that. This is where I take my profits. This is where I'm supposed to cut my losses. So unless you know that, you won't know exactly where you should let it ride or if you should just cut it off. So like here in this instance, I took my profits at what, $17. It was like a little bit right here. I wasn't going to get greedy because I honestly, it's Friday. Like I said, anything can happen on Fridays, and which is why I don't really trade on Fridays. I almost nailed the top here. It wasn't that great, but I pretty much got in pretty quickly and got out pretty quickly. I just wanted to be green for a little bit. Um, but my strategy called for that, right? And then of course it just pulls back because I knew if it pulled back, there's no telling how much it could have pulled back based on momentum and the time we were at. I'm not going to get into all that. We talked about that in the course, but this is pretty much what I want you guys to understand, that your trading strategy, you have to know the ins and outs of it. What it would look like if the stock goes right and stays right, which is what this part is what I was talking about. The stock had moved this way, or hey, if it goes wrong, am I supposed to still take my profits? Because again, if you put that same trading strategy and apply it here in pre-market, you still were green, but you might think to yourself like, oh, well, I missed out because it went up higher. Guys, it's going to go higher. It's going to go lower. It does that, but you got to stick to your strategy, and you can't let your winners win if the stock isn't moving to the point to where you would let your winners win. Here, at this point, people would think, oh, this is where you would let it win. No, you wouldn't, because it broke that trading strategy. That's not letting your winners win. At this point, this is a new trade. It's not letting your winners win. It's a new trade, okay? A whole new setup for so many different reasons. All right. So once you understand that as a trader, you'll probably feel more better and more comfortable. Not saying you should be doing this with every trade. Again, depending on who you are as a trader. I can't tell you not to, can't tell you to do it. It's up to you. You guys know me. I'm one and done. I try not to trade more than once a day. And that just helps me out as a trader because I know, like, hey, if I'm taking this trade, it is going to be what it is. But that becomes over time when you're more better at recognizing what the trade setups look to set up for your strategy. Because again, let's say if I was a trader who shorts stocks, right? If I was a short-term trader, I'd be looking for something to break a lower low, right? A higher low for it to break, maybe. Maybe I'm looking for a head and shoulders pattern. Maybe I'm looking for a descending triangle. Whatever your strategy calls for, right? Know the ins and outs and like, hey, if it's doing that strategy that I do, that I like to do, I know that if it goes this way, that is going the wrong way, I need to cut it. Or if it is going my way, that's great. This is where I need to take my profits. But if it keeps going the way I want it to go, then I'm going to stay into it. That's what you really need to know. So when you kind of understand that aspect of it, it gets really easier, guys. Okay. So hope that helps you out. Letting your winners win. Understand the differences between letting your winners win and something being a new trade. Today with AMGH or AGMH, it isn't a matter of letting your winners win. For some of you, it is, depending on your strategy. But for the most part, this was just multiple setups and different time frames for different trades. Okay, so don't be discouraged. All right, tomorrow's another day. Live the trade another day. But again, to let your winners win, know your strategy inside and out. All right. So hope you guys have a great weekend. You can review the 3 trades I took in the Facebook group. If you're having issues with taking that in or getting into there, just let me know and I'll make sure, to have them let you in and, like, comment, subscribe, all the above. Leave your thoughts. If you took this trade today, let me know how you did. I'm always curious to see what you guys did too. So, or if you missed it, what can you do to try to get better at it? Find something like that. For those of you who didn't trade it and traded something else that still came out green, I'm interested to know because there was quite a few different other alerts as well too. I know some of you guys are short traders, killed on a couple of these little volume spikes. I don't know how you guys are getting in there that quick, but congrats on that. But we had like a bunch of them on the watch list. I mean, AGMH was the main watch today, guys. There really wasn't nothing much else to look at. I mean, there were a few other ones, but for me, that was the main one to kind of keep my eye on. Everything else was just kind of like noise. So, but yeah, other than that, guys, if you have any questions, put them in the comments. All the above, message me. I'm here for you as much as I can be. But other than that, enjoy the weekend, study up, stay green.